An analysis of Flannery O'Connor's A Good Man is Hard to Find. Flannery O'Connor lived from 1925 to 1964. She was born and lived most of her life in Georgia. A Southern woman, all of her stories are set in the Deep South amidst poor white characters. Her father died of lupus when she was 12. She inherited the condition from him. She began suffering from it by age 26. Because of her illness, she was often sickly and spent a great deal of time indoors. She died relatively young, at age 39. She did not use racist language herself or express such ideas, but her characters frequently display racist ideas. She was both a realist, one who tries to write in ways that reflect real conversation and behavior, and sometimes referred to as a Southern Gothic, because her stories always involve death and strange or grotesque elements. Rarely does she use characters who are relatable or even likable. Most of her characters are very odd and or unpleasant. She tried to mimic local dialects and speaking patterns. Despite being somewhat isolated during much of her life, she had a very good sense of the nuances of human behavior and interactions. In all of her stories, she is interested in exploring religious themes. She was a devout Catholic, which was not particularly common in the deeply Protestant South. But her exploration of religious themes goes well beyond any traditional morality tales. The religious themes she discussed the most involve the concept of epiphany, or sudden spiritual revelation. In addition, she also provided an unspoken critique of Southern society. Her characters often use racist language and ideas, and while she does not overtly criticize this, it is not intended to be flattering. Death is another recurring theme within her writing. Her interest in this theme was likely due to her father's young death and the impending threat of her own potential young death from lupus. Like most of her stories, the main characters within A Good Man is Hard to Find are not particularly easy to like. The grandmother is manipulative, self-centered, and demonstrates her ignorance via racial slurs. The children are annoying brats. They are also self-absorbed and immature, as can be seen in their disappointed reaction to no deaths from the auto accident. Bailey and his unnamed wife are the most likable, but only because they say very little within the story. O'Connor's unflattering depiction of her primary characters is unusual in that it doesn't allow the reader to easily connect with any characters. Instead, O'Connor may be seeking for the reader to remain at a distance from the characters so that it is easier to evaluate their actions and discern the broader social commentary she is seeking to convey. The title of the story is brought up in a conversation between Red Sammy and the grandmother. However, their view of the past is likely not based on reality. It is common that there is an inaccuracy to one's nostalgia. Most people are likely to look back on their own youth as a better time because seeing the past this way is flattering to themselves. We are further meant to doubt these assertions of memory because memory is a primary problem within the story. For example, the grandmother can't remember where the plantation is actually located, and the misfit can't remember if he killed his father or not. Religion is another major theme brought up within the story. Issues of religion are first brought into the story through the family's encounter with the misfit. The grandmother first mentions religion to him, but she does so in a very superficial manner. When the misfit seeks to probe these topics with her in greater depth, she is unable to respond. She simply repeats the same lines. We see by the grandmother's actions throughout the story and in her conversation with the misfit that her understanding of religion is very superficial and has little effect on how she actually lives her life. The misfit's long monologues about religion uncover his primary problem. He reveals an inability to have faith. He can't believe in Jesus' performance of miracles because he wasn't there to personally witness it. The odd leap of logic by the misfit seems to be that since he feels damned to hell due to a lack of faith, this was what a young Southern man would have been taught at the time, he may as well earn his damnation. He expresses this outlook with the phrase, "no pleasure but meanness." Towards the very end of the story, the grandmother undergoes a moment of epiphany. The narrator tells us that her head cleared for an instant. Then the grandmother suddenly says, "Why, you're one of my own babies." Within the discussion board, we'll talk about how this can be interpreted for religious meaning. Whatever the grandmother's intent with this statement, the misfit clearly saw this as a moment of significance. He believes that in that one moment, the grandmother became a good person. He says, "She would have been a good woman if it had been someone there to shoot her every minute of her life."